in the previous video, we looked at the context of the Bhagavad Gita, the moral dilemma, right? Whether Arjuna is going to go and fight and kill his family, which is his duty, or not do so, which seems the intuitively right thing to do. And the way in which one begins to realize these are not problems which stem from the self, right? Now, here we're going to continue this and start to look at the things one can do to lead a virtuous life, to do the right thing, which we'll find out what exactly that is with this moral dilemma. So it's actually not a dilemma at all, which is what Krishna will argue. Now, how does one lead the virtuous life? Right? How does one do the right thing? So Krishna says that there are 4 types of virtuous people who take refuge in Brahman, right? And the goal is to take refuge in the self. Now, not the individual atomistic self, but the self that is the same as all, the same as Brahman, the Atman. So you have one kind of person that takes refuge in Brahman who Krishna says comes to Brahman when in distress, right? We can think of this as the person where they're going through a hard time, so they begin, praying to God or something like that, asking for help and how they'll, do the right thing and so on, right? We have one who seeks wisdom, so one who wants to know the true things, right? That's why they seek refuge in Brahman. One who prays for wealth and success, and then the person of knowledge. Now, we can see that the first one, obviously the one who comes to Brahman when in distress, only does so for selfish reasons because things are going bad. And when things were going good, they did not also seek refuge in Brahman. The one who seeks wisdom. Now, we might think that this is actually a truly virtuous person. This is not the case, right? They're closer than, of course, the one who seeks or prays for wealth and success and the one who comes to Brahman when in distress. But it's still for superficial reasons, for reasons of the self, because they want to know. For the sake of knowing, right? They don't want to know for the sake of doing the right thing. Now, the one, of course, who prays for wealth and success and therefore seeks refuge in the self, that person obviously is not doing the right thing for the sake of it doing the right thing. Now, they could actually do what is right, but they would only do right things maybe because it makes them happy or it makes them wealthier, right? That's a person who's not really doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and they're still, in that sense, then egotistical. It is only the person of knowledge who seeks true knowledge who then gets rid of the sense of the ego, the sense of the material, physical self. That is the truly virtuous person. So only the person of knowledge is distinguished from the others with devotion to Brahman alone. Now, the goal of the virtuous person, which is why they are distinguished, is to overcome the duality of impermanence and permanence, of the physical and the material, of the material self and the Atman, right? So to overcome this duality that there are really 2 different things, the transcendental and the physical, God that's out there, the spirit, whatever, and then myself here in this world, or myself and my friend or family member over there, right? Overcome the duality that they are all the same and relinquish the ego. Now, what does it mean then to take refuge in Brahman? We have to understand more about what exactly is the nature of Brahman. So we had said before that Brahman, or also Atman, the self, is everything. So Brahman is the physical manifestations as well as the creation and dissolution of all things. Krishna says Brahman is like rows of pearls on a string, right, which ties everything together. And we can look at a few passages here to see exactly how the nature of Brahman is described. So first we can look at chapter 7, beginning at verse 8. So here Krishna says, I am the, speaking of Brahman, and here Krishna has revealed himself. So before it wasn't known to Arjuna that Krishna was a god, and Krishna is actually a manifestation of Brahman. So he says, I am the taste, the essence in the waters, Arjuna. I am the light in the sun and the moon. I am the sacred Om in all the Vedas. I am the sound in space. I am the manhood in men. I am the sweet scent of the earth as well, and I am the radiance and fire, the life in all beings. And I am the ascetic heat in holy men. Know, Arjuna, that I am the eternal seed in all beings. I am the insight of the insightful. I am the brilliance of brilliant men. I am also the strength of strong men, the strength that is free from desire and passion. And I am that desire in all beings, Arjuna, that does not resist duty. There are states of clarity, states of passion, and states of inertia. Know that they come only from me, but I am not in them. They are in me. These states consist of the three conditions of nature. The entire world is deluded by them. The world does not recognize that I am beyond them, that I am eternal. My veil of illusion, my Maya, is woven from these strands of nature. It is divine and difficult to grasp, but those who take refuge in me can pass through this veil of illusion. Men who do not take refuge in me do great harm. They are deluded. They are the worst kind of men. The veil of illusion has robbed them of true knowledge, and they descend to demonic behavior. So it's at one and the same time, right, that the existence of Brahman brings about this material world, and yet at the same time, then this material world deludes itself into thinking that is what is real. So again, we can also look here at chapter 10, verses 19 through really the end of the chapter, but I don't think I'll read that far. So Krishna says, "Come then, and I will tell you about the divine powers of myself, starting with the most important ones. But as for full detail concerning me, Arjuna, there is no end. I am the very self, Arjuna, that resides in the heart of all beings. I am their beginning and their middle and their end. Among the divine sons of Aditi, I am Vishnu. Among the celestial lights, I am the radiant sun. I am lightning among the gods of the storm, and I am the moon among the stars. Among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda, the book of songs. Among the gods, I am Indra, their king. Among the senses, I am the mind, and among the sentient, I am consciousness. Among the terrifying deities, I am the gentle one, Shiva. And among demons and devils, I am Kubera, the lord of wealth. Among the bright gods of space, I am Agni, god of fire, and among the great mountains, I am Meru." So skipping ahead here, we can look at maybe verse 37 here. "Among the clan of the Vrishnis, I am Krishna. Among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Among the holy hermits, I am Vyasa, and among the ancient poets, I am the poet Ushanas. I am the rod of the punishers. I am the policy of scheming politicians. I am also the silence of secret doctrines, and I am the wisdom that wise men know. And beyond that, I am the seed of all beings, Arjuna. Nothing, neither what moves nor what does not move, could exist without me. O Arjuna, there is no end to my divine powers. But I have shown you the extent of my power by using just a few examples. Understand that whatever displays divine power or great beauty or enormous vigor arises from but a small portion of my own glory. But what use is it to you, Arjuna, to know all of this? With one small portion of myself, right, in the manifestation of Krishna, I have propped up this entire world, and still I stand here." Now, this might seem a bit crazy, right, to think that there's this one thing which is called Brahman, and we are all the same, right? But let's take maybe a scientific approach, right? We can look at it. Well, to say all things are atoms, or all things are actually energy at their core, is that so different from saying all are Brahman, that all are actually the same? Perhaps there is some difference. So there could be some ontological difference in saying, it is like saying that, so I have these two kinds of pins and they're the same, right? So there is a qualitative sameness, but a quantitative or numerical difference. Now, what is actually being argued by Krishna is that there is no numerical or quantitative difference. that all is actually the same. And I think that there is some refuge one can take in this, right? In when one is thinking about their place in the world, well, you are not alone, right? I mean, this is some of it, giving a sense of meaning to one's life and giving one sense purpose, right? That they were in a bigger scheme of things, bigger than their own. Now, with this knowledge of Brahman, of who is the true self, of which we are, according to the Bhagavad Gita here, according to Krishna, we are all one and the same with Brahman. This should lead to two things here. One, selfless action. So Krishna says one should offer friendship and compassion to all things. They should give up thoughts of I and mine, right? So if I'm full and I have some extra food, well, I should give up the sense that it is my food, and maybe, I act on behalf of the starving person, right? And I give it over to them because we are all one. The second thing, we should have and see equanimity in all things, that we should accept both pleasure and sorrow alike and endure all things with patience. And this does not mean, of course, we enjoy sorrow, right? Or we take sorrow and pleasure, but it means we accept it as they are. And we are not, in that sense, then, surprised when terrible things happen. So, one example of this here, chapter 12, verse 14. So, Krishna says, the yogin who is always content and self-restrained and firm in his resolve, and who directs his mind and his awareness upon me, he is my devotee, and he is dear to me. So one who understands Brahman being the source of all things, and that all are one and the same, all are Brahman, right? That there's actually some benefit to this. So the world does not tremble in fear before him, right? For the one who truly understands this. Nor does he tremble in fear before the world. He has freed himself from the disturbances of joy or impatience or fear, and so he is dear to me, right? Because he doesn't hang on to those emotions and think, they are truly aspects of, his life or her life, right? That these are fleeting emotions that come and go as one who exists in the world. And instead, they take refuge in Brahman himself. He is indifferent to circumstance. So one is indifferent to the fact that they have to go and turn their father in, right, if they commit a crime, because it's the right thing to do. And they don't dwell on, should I really do this? Because, I really love my father. And it's a good thing to love your father, but you have to go beyond, right, that selfishness. He is pure and capable. He is a detached witness, untroubled by events. He does not initiate new engagements. He is my devotee, and he is dear to me. He does not delight in things, the sage, right, or the yogin, nor does he loathe them. He knows neither anguish nor longing. Indifferent to good fortune and to bad fortune alike, he is a man of devotion, and he is dear to me. In the presence of an enemy or a friend, he is impartial to both, right? Not meaning they'll be fine, of course, with enemies or people who do bad things, but they won't see them in a certain way that maybe they want to have this sense of vengeance or justice against the enemy or someone who's done bad, but they follow their duty, what the right thing is to do, right? And they don't go beyond that for other reasons that they might want to adopt. So he is impartial and unattached. A silent sage for whom blame and praise are the same, content with whatever happens. Homeless but firm in his mind, he is a man of devotion, and he is dear to me. In fact, all who worship this divine nectar of Dharma that I have now declared to you, all who have placed their faith in this teaching, all such devotees for whom I am the supreme goal, are dear to me even more. And again, I want to stress that this isn't so far-fetched of an idea that we would be impartial to both the friend and the enemy. In the same way that we talk about the justice system or the law not putting someone in jail because they're a bad person, but only doing so because they committed a crime, and therefore it's the right thing to do, right? But not just maybe because, they're a bad person, if they haven't, done necessarily things that are, that warrant, being arrested or something like that. So, true knowledge then, that which is permanent. So only true knowledge, right? One can be said to truly know things if they know that which is permanent, not that which is fleeting, which comes and goes. So true knowledge can't be had of necessarily the material world. Now, maybe the material world can lead one to the permanent, but it is not in the material itself. It is not in the impermanent itself where true knowledge lies, because true knowledge is egoless. So Krishna says, knowledge is said to consist in the absence of pride and deceit, of nonviolence and patience and upright honesty, of service to one's teacher, purity, stability, and self-control, dispassion with regard to sense objects, and the absence of an ego sense. Finally, there should be constant attention to knowledge of the self and a perception of the purpose of the knowledge of reality. All of this is called true knowledge. So we can think here of the idea is you reflect on your actions, you reflect on what you have done, and you dissociate those actions from your true self. That you don't have to be attached to them. You can learn from them, right? But you don't have to, think about how liberating this is. You don't have to go on every day worried about the fact that you did something maybe that was bad. You can learn from it and move on because it's not truly who you are. Now again, right, this might seem a bit weird. Well, hold on. Okay, I am supposed to reflect on myself in these ways, but I'm supposed to be egoless, right? So where's the agent that does the acting on the agentless things, right? So am I not the agent in acquisition of knowledge and in the action of dharma, right? Am I not the one who does the right things? No. Two answers for why the answer is no here. So first, Krishna says, nature is said to be the cause of action insofar as actions have effects and instruments and agents. But insofar as there is experience of pleasure and pain, the cause of action is said to be the spirit in man. For the human spirit dwells within nature and experience the qualities that arise from nature. Its attachment to these qualities is the cause of birth in either good wombs or bad ones. And whoever sees that all actions are performed everywhere by nature alone, and that the self is not the agent, he sees things as they are. When he recognizes the oneness that dwells within the diversity of all beings, and that from this all beings disperse, then he unites with Brahman. So maybe we might have to delude ourselves and say, yeah, I'm the one that's reflecting on this. I'm the one that's seeking this knowledge. But by seeking this knowledge, once we truly grasp that knowledge, we realize we weren't the ones doing that in the first place. It was Atman, it was Brahman that was actually doing this. It was everything. It was a result. Maybe we can think of it this way. It was a result of everything. Now, there's some qualities actually we can look at. See, what are the qualities, right, that are possessed by the yogin sage, right? The truly virtuous person, the one who seeks refuge in Brahman. Some of these are fearlessness, purity of character, steadfastness in the yoga of knowledge, gift-giving, self-control, and sacrifice, study of the Vedas and austerity and honesty, nonviolence and truth and no anger, renunciation and peacefulness and no slander, compassion for all beings and no greed, gentleness and modesty and no fickleness, radiance, patience, resolve, and purity, and no deception and no exaggerated pride. So we can think of these as kind of the virtues that one would want to possess. Now, the opposite of this, right, the destruction of the Atman is desire, anger, and greed. So while these, it's natural as a human being to experience these, we want to let go of them. We don't want to become attached to them. We want to realize these things are impermanent, they are fleeting, right, and they will go away. And by recognizing this and working on it, we become better, and it is easier for us to do the right thing, to follow our duty. It is easier to recognize, okay, what is my position in life, right? So, maybe I have a job as a teacher, and I'm really tired, right, today, and I really just don't feel like going and teaching today. But I should recognize, this is this is something that is fleeting, it is impermanent, and instead it is my duty It is my duty to go and teach, that day that I'm feeling tired, because it's the right thing to do. And to give in to my feelings, to stay home, to, fake call in sick or something like that, that would be wrong to do, because then I would be giving into a sense of the material self, right? My ego, and not recognizing that it's the right thing to do, to give out good karma to others, and to act on behalf of and for Brahman. So we can finally have a clear answer to the dilemma, right? So what started the Bhagavad Gita was this dilemma where Arjuna has to go and kill his family members, and that seems to be intuitively a morally bad thing to do, and yet his caste duty says this is what he should do, which is also what is morally right, following your caste duty. So we know that dharma, moral rightness, is performed without interest in its result. So we don't do what is right because it makes us happy, because it brings joy to others. We do it simply because it is the right thing to do. Now, such action is rooted in clarity. Immoral behavior is rooted in passion. So one, we know we need to get rid of then our passion and our feelings for our family members in that situation, right? For Arjuna specifically, in that situation, he needs to clear himself of his passions and his feelings, his desires, and clear his mind and focus on what is the right thing to do. So Krishna says, the agent who is devoted to liberation, who prefers not to talk about himself, who is determined and vigorous and unchanged by success or failure, he is rooted in clarity. So the answer to the dilemma is that one does what is right when one follows their caste duty, that is the right thing to do. So we can read this at the end of chapter 18. So from verse 41, we have here Krishna saying, Arjuna, Brahmins and warriors and villagers and slaves, they all have obligatory caste duties that are distinguished by the qualities that arise from their innate nature. Serenity, self-control, austerity, purity, patience, honesty, as well as knowledge and discrimination and religious faith. These are the caste duties of Brahman, which arise from a Brahman's nature, right? And a Brahman here, the priest. Heroism, energy, resolve, skill, and also the refusal to retreat in battle, generosity, and ruling with authority. These are the caste duties of a warrior, which arise from a warrior's nature. Farming, cattle herding, and trade are the caste duties of a villager, which arise from his nature. And service is the caste duty of a slave, which arise from the nature of a slave. A man achieves success when he is content in doing the work that is his own. Hear how one who is content in doing his own caste duty achieves success. And we can think of this like, let's say, take soccer, okay? If a goalkeeper practices what a striker or a winger, right, would be practicing, then they are going to be less suited to perform their duty as a goalkeeper. The same way that a winger or a striker or a midfielder, spending too much time practicing what a goalkeeper practiced, they would not be able to perform their duty adequately, right, and flourish as a winger or a midfielder and so on. Right? So the right thing to do is to practice, okay, what is your role in the connection with others? So what is your role in society if we're talking about the caste duty? What is your role as a member of the soccer team? What is your role as a father or a mother? You look at this and you say, okay, what is it I need to focus on? I don't need to worry about what others are going to do. I need to focus on what I need to do for the fact that it is the right thing to do. That is how one does what is right. And it is only by recognizing we are not the source of moral rightness, our passions, our feelings are not the source of moral rightness, but only Dharma itself, only Brahman, which is one and the same thing as ourselves, since we are one and the same of Brahman, and we are one and the same as everything else.